Hi there, everyone. It's Jeff C. It is Tuesday, February the 25th, and come to talk about something today. I got those of us who are in the truther movement, which I would consider myself part of. I don't necessarily like the term truther. Um, it's one of those black and white sort of things, and it's obviously a derogatory term as it's used by the mainstream corporate media to belittle people who don't accept the official story of big events that happen, especially within the United States. We could talk about the truthers, Sandy Hook truthers, right? I was from very early on, from days after the event, part of this movement to try to expose Sandy Hook, which is an obvious false flag. I think everybody who has spent more than an hour or two looking at it can quickly summarize that they are being had, that the whole event is staged, that nobody died, all those things. Of course, those of us who dig into it really dig into it and start to uncover all these little tasty morsels, whether it be just inconsistencies in the story, visual, photographic, or video evidence that discounts the official story, the 911 calls, things like that I looked into. Others have. Everybody who really digs into Sandy Hook has done a tremendous job. There is bad stuff, of course, too. There's the Dallas Goldbug type of bullshit, right? The people that come in to try to muddy the waters. There was a lot of that, especially in the early days of Sandy Hook, dealing with the evidence. So today I'm here to talk about Alex Jones. My good friend here, Red Pill Revolution, did a video this morning that I saw, and it was pretty good. I'm going to put the link for it below. He says, BS alert, Wolfgang Halbig proves Sandy Hook hoax and exposes, I think it's Alex Jones Infowars. And what he's referring to here is the segment that Halbig comes on to Infowars. I believe it's David Knight that interviews him, and the fact that the Infowars reporter, David Knight, is referring to Sandy Hook as a false flag and not as a hoax. And I think I put my comments there saying, well, I think that's a little bit of semantics, because technically it is a false flag in the sense that it is, if we define false flag comes from the term of naval battles when enemy ships would display the flags of the rival in order to dupe them and get in close and then, hit them and stuff like that. That is where the term sort of originates from. And yet the term has kind of evolved over the years. People will say, like, the Reichstag, the burning of the Reichstag in Germany was a clear example of the false flag. The Gulf of Tonkin, many different events. I use the term false flag to describe the Navy Yard shooting and the Lax shooting as well. And what I meant not was that that they weren't hoaxes, but that they were indeed committed by the powers that be in order to dupe the public into thinking that more security is necessary or less guns amongst the people. You know the whole drift, right? So the fact, I think one of the big problems with Alex Jones, with people recently, especially in the truther community dealing with Sandy Hook, is the fact that Alex Jones barely covered Sandy Hook. In fact, he is quoted as saying that he believed children died there. Now, I don't, I rarely follow Alex Jones. I'm subscribed to him, so I see the headlines, but I don't usually like to have people screaming at me, so I don't click on it very often. I take everything with a grain of salt, right? Everything, no matter where it's coming from. I follow information. That's what I mean to say. And I caution people not to make extreme judgments on other truthers or other people or even events, because we're only at best getting slices of what these things happen. Now, all of us who have really dug into Sandy Hook, and I'm one of those guys. I watch the great work that other people have done on Sandy Hook. I've done a lot of my own work on Sandy Hook, so my interpretation of the event is well researched, I guess you could say. I've had a great deal of exposure to it over the last year or so, and have come to a conclusion. I came to a conclusion very early that it was a false flag, but everything that has come out since has just completely solidified the foundations of that conviction. Therefore, I know that Sandy Hook was a false flag and no children died. I am certain of that. And as are many of you. Now, a lot of people are going to say, what the hell is wrong with Alex Jones? Why hasn't he covered it? Why? It's so obvious. Why doesn't Alex Jones cover this false flag? It's so important, too. When we think about it, we could think that, like, the way I think about Sandy Hook is that if we were able to prove beyond any doubt that Sandy Hook was a false flag, then we could start to break down the paradigm that most people are living in, which is starting with the MSM corporate media, the lies that they propagate on their channel, the propaganda that they push daily, and then eventually lead it into the hierarchy that is pulling the strings, the cabal, that the banking cabal that runs the United States and the West, by and large. Who orchestrate these events: the Council on Foreign Relations, the Zionists within the White House and the Pentagon, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, all these different corporate sort of controlled entities, the Satanists. I mean, there's so many different slices to this giant pyramid that runs our world, right? And a lot of them are working together to dupe us constantly. So the big question here becomes, is Alex Jones controlled opposition? And it's something that I wanted to talk about way back when we were doing the group shows last year. I brought it up with the guys saying, I think it should be talked about because, what if people are right? What if he is a honeypot, right? The honeypot being the trap that is laid for bears, so that you put a pot of honey within a bear trap sort of thing. The bear comes to drink the honey and gets trapped. And a lot of people over the time have described Alex Jones and InfoWars as being that honeypot. And of course, the famous quote by Vladimir Lenin was that the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves, right? So if you think of a cabal that has had control over the United States, over the West, over Great Britain, Australia, the Five Eyes, the most powerful nations outside of Russia, possibly they control Russia as well, too. I really don't know. I can't know everything. In fact, I'm acutely aware of how little I do know. Yet we're all like that, whether you're a scientist, a professor, or a blogger like myself. We all have limited sort of spheres of knowledge. And what we're constantly trying to do, I think, at least in my case, is I'm trying to expand that knowledge and try to take in. So I don't discredit anything. So when people are saying that Alex Jones could be controlled opposition, I'm certainly going to listen. Definitely. So I did some research into it today. I've done research into it in the past. Uncovered some sort of tasty morsels here that we should all take a good look at. Now, if you're an InfoWars or Alex Jones supporter, don't get angry. Okay, please don't get angry with me. I'm not against you. All right? We're all on the same side if we are all about uncovering the truth about 9/11. All right? 9/11 is the biggest event. So one of the reasons why I have in the past supported Alex Jones, I haven't supported financially. I rarely watch him, but I have in times defended him on this show. I defended him with the Piers Morgan interview, on a few other occasions when the young turds or the dumb turds were going after him, and then I've attacked him on several occasions. Well, criticized him. Right, I criticized him pretty heavily when he did his BBC rant, and I said, look, somebody screaming this stuff on the BBC is not going to win people over. The 10,000 people that are won over by Alex Jones are a small, drop in the ocean when you consider the 10 million people that would be turned off by his performance, which is really what happened with that event. He didn't really win that event. I'm sorry, and I'm never going to take down that video because that's the way I believe about it. So, looking into Alex Jones as possible controlled opposition, you could check on Google to see how other people have broken this down. There is quite a few people that have taken this on, and I've looked at a lot of these now, and I'm starting to get a picture. Now, one thing good to listen to here, the people that used to listen to him, now David Ortiz and the woman here, I can't remember her name, both worked for InfoWars for a period, and they have something very interesting to say. Now, I think this is extremely important for Alex Jones listeners to listen up clearly to what these people are saying, because they are saying that they were forced to sign a confidentiality agreement so that they couldn't leak any information dealing with Alex Jones's InfoWars operation, and that it is extremely secretive, that nobody really knows where it's located, even in Austin. We know it's Austin, Texas, right? But let's listen in here for a little bit and hear what they have to say.
End here in a minute. I know you don't have a lot of time, and so many people wanted to know about your experience, why you left Alex Jones, and I'll say up front, we both have non-disclosures going into this. So that said, and also we're talking about high frequencies, what would you like to add or answer to the people that would like to know why you left?
Well, it's such a secretive operation, so I know why a lot of people want to know, hey, what's it like to work there? Because it's the only media outlet I know that nobody knows where it's located. I mean, they know the city, but it's, you know, they don't know where it's located. So it's a very secretive operation, so I could see why people are intrigued. What's he like, so on and so forth. But I'll just say this. First off, before my experience, I was a fan. Today I am not of him and the operation. And I can assure you I didn't make that transition over something catty. Also, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I'd like to shed some more light on it, but I can't do that because, as you stated, Alex's company, which is called, ironically, it's like the height of hypocrisy, it's called Free Speech Systems LLC. That's what it's called. I've got the documents.
I got my check.
Yeah. Requires that we sign airtight lifetime non-disclosure agreements. So that's why I can't elaborate. And anyone who even considers saying anything less than flattering about him publicly, let's just say they're sternly reminded that might not be in their best interest. So that's why I can't say much. But I will say this. I feel obligated to say this much. You know, I think that's wrong, because if your persona is, oh, I love freedom, I just love, you know, whistleblowers and media whistleblowers and Ben Swan, Amber Lyons, both of whom are wonderful journalists. Tell us about the culture at other media outlets. Unveil the curtain. You know, we need to hold other people accountable. If that's your persona, and then on the side you're doing that, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. And for those people that say, well, you know, you're allowed to have non-disclosure agreements, other businesses do them, or other businesses have that. Well, the CEOs of those businesses are constantly hyperventilating about how much they love freedom, and their agreements are modest. They're not airtight. So, you know, there you go. And yes, other media outlets do allow past reporters to speak a little bit, as long as they don't get out of control. You know, Soledad O'Brien has said some things about her experience at CNN. Matt Lauer talks a little bit about his spats with Katie Couric. Just, you know, so, yeah, that's just my take on it. I think that that's not good to legally muzzle people if, in fact, you're going to push a persona that's, I'm all about freedom. And there's a guy who I actually spoke to on the phone. He's a really nice guy. His name is Jack Blood. And he used to be a former fill-in anchor, I think, for Alex. And he posted online his take on what his experience was like. And I've posted that on my YouTube page for those who want to see. By me posting it, that doesn't mean I'm officially endorsing what he's saying. I can't do that for obvious reasons.
Now I'm really intrigued. Okay.
I can't do that for obvious reasons. But I'll just say, you know, as you listen to it, trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. And I want to end with this because I think it's important. You know, when he was in a good mood, Alex, he was a very funny guy. He'd actually have you rolling around in stitches.
He was always really nice to me. So, you know, I don't have anything bad to say about personally how he treated me. I thought, you know, he was very generous and kind to me. And so I was there as long as you. I didn't, you know, see everything. So
I do want to say that there's actually occasionally he'll get a bum rap for being a racist, or, you know, he wasn't that. I mean,
I didn't see that either.
I don't have too many flattering things to say about him, but that's
he seemed to really care. When I was there, he really did seem to truly care, and maybe too much. Maybe that's why some of the we all have flaws, but
right. And let me end with this for those people, because obviously you want to stay high frequency.
Trying.
Right. Well, I have to end with a cautionary note because I know how things work out of that that outlet there. I have no intentions about talking about this again or uploading another video that talks about this. I felt obligated to say what I said. I don't encourage other people from that operation to be emboldened by what I just did and talk themselves as well about this. But I felt obligated to say what I did. However, I have to end with this cautionary note. If I get one menacing phone call from the freedom lover or other people get a menacing phone call saying take this video down or else, I will be forced, I do not want to, but I'll be forced to take off the gloves. And I've offered the public a G-rated version. I've got a PG-13 version. And I can assure you it's not catty stuff. So I don't even want to go there. It's over. I've said what I've said. I felt obligated to say what I've said. But if I'm forced, I will be forced to take off the gloves, and I don't want to do that. Airplane, let's just say hypothetically. And I'm not talking about anybody specifically. But if you're on an airplane and someone keeps on hitting the alarm button, ding a 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 ding, and you're saying, hey, that person's very annoying, can you stop? Ding a ding a ding a ding a letting the public know about that is not being low frequency. It's just saying there's an individual who keeps on hitting ding a ding a ding a ding a ding. You know what I mean? So this is not being low frequency. You just have to kind of.
The truth isn't low frequency. It's just hanging there, and once you identify that it's like, then you went on for 10 minutes talking about, and then he rang the dinger and the dinger and the dinger. Then you're on the same vibration as the ringer of the dinger. You know what I mean? If you want to go there,
Yeah, I think that is one of the big problems. Of course, it's a lot of an act. Of course, there's a lot of embellishment. I mean, then again, you got to say when you host a pretty much a full-time, it's a job for him, right? There's a lot of time when you're on radio. If you're on radio for 3 hours a day, I don't know, I've never done radio like that, that you'd probably have to fill things, you have to sell things, you have Pure Pro or whatever, Tangerine, all these things. Now we're going to get into that, of course, but I thought very interesting comments here from these two. David Ortiz talking about the disclosure agreements, the non-disclosure agreements that InfoWars forces these people to sign. Perhaps that's why we haven't heard much. I don't know if TrueStream Media, Aaron Doyle or Aaron Dykes and Melissa Melton have come out to say what their experience was. I haven't heard. If somebody has, please contact me or leave it in the comments below. But I think that's extremely hypocritical for this Free Speech Systems, which is the name of the corporation. These Free Speech Systems LLC making people sign non-disclosure agreements saying that they can't say anything bad about the show that they were on. Very, very strange, is it not? And extremely hypocritical. Now, there's a lot of stuff. Wonder if people have heard this. This is off Gnostic Warrior here, where Alex Jones has his reaction to 9/11 as it's occurring, sort of thing, or I guess in the immediate aftermath, where he's crying, and then it just comes to a point where they're going to switch to break, and he immediately changes his voice. Now, take what you will out of it. I'm not going to say anything definite, but let's give it a listen.
The beast is upon us, oh God! It's gonna get worse and worse, oh! They lock down, they come to kill! They are killing? I'm sorry. The New World Order's gotta be defeated, oh God! Please, God, please protect us from the New World Order. Please protect the children. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Just Stephanie, play Renegades or something. I gotta get myself together. We'll come back and get into the dance. I'm sick of chronicling their evil.
And I mean,
So, there you go. I don't know. I mean, it was a very emotional day for a lot of us, certainly for myself, family. I remember that day very, very clearly. I knew everywhere I went, every conversation, I can remember it very clearly. So, is he acting there? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I can't say enough there. But nonetheless, it's just one of these things, of course. So, I listened to Jack Blood talking about him. I'll put the links for this below. I don't think he really says anything totally concrete. Just gives a real sort of overall opinion what it was like to work with Alex Jones and how he was very, very much control freak and how he thinks he's a honeypot and all these things. So I don't think it's the strongest sort of evidence, but we have people that have worked for him that have come out now. Now, there's more than a few now that say that there's something very suspicious about what's going on. Now, there's a web page here, which I will post the links for below, which is called Alex Jones Exposed. Now, I'm going to go through some of the points here that they put up for why they believe Alex Jones is controlled opposition. Now, first and foremost, Alex Jones is married to a Jewish woman named Violet Nichols, with whom he has 3 children. I don't think that really matters unless, of course, it can be demonstrated that he has this sort of Zionist or Jewish connection. So we're going to look a little bit more into that because perhaps there is indeed. Alex Jones and his Jewish wife and children all qualify for Israeli citizenship under Israel's law of return. Well, I guess that would be the case if you married a Jewish woman. I'm not really sure, 100% sure about that. Now, this is where the problems start to come in. Alex Jones is funded by at least 34 Jewish sponsors and advertisers who financially support his radio show and websites. You gotta be a little bit careful here, because being Jewish doesn't mean you're bad at all. At all. Not one bit. I have Jewish friends, I have Jewish family. No problem with Jewish people. Not even a problem with the Jewish religion. Alright? But I do have a problem with Zionism. And I do have a problem with the massive APEC, for instance, the power that high-ranking Jews have and the ability they have to manipulate. Of course, the history of false flag attacks launched by Israel, all the belligerent actions of the state of Israel. I don't want to get into all that, but that's where the problems lie, of course. Anybody who really follows and understands what's going on in American politics understands the incredible problem that the United States has with Zionist, the cabal, the Jewish cabal. I mean, the banksters that run the United States. They are indeed, by and large, Jews. Now, it doesn't make them all bad people, but it does perhaps say that they are conspiring, of course, right? We know who runs the Federal Reserve. We know who runs the banking systems of the United States, who runs the Bank of England. We know the power that they have. So it is an extreme problem with all the high-ranking Jews within the White House, within the Pentagon, within the Council on Foreign Relations, and all these other appendages and arms of this New World Order. So looking into it, this site has done a really good job showing all these different Jews that are sponsoring the Alex Jones show. So you've got this Longevity, Corey Gold, Ben Fuchs, Joe Wallachs. They're Ashkenazi Jews, sorry. There's a ton here, and these are the photographs that they provide. Survival Shield. Survival Shield is nascent iodine is manufactured by Healing Center, which is Edward Group, another Jew founder, CEO. And believe me when I say this, the list goes on and on. ProPure, we know ProPure, USA, Lincoln Remy Group, Steve Steinway. Now these are the people that are giving money to Alex Jones. They're advertising their products, but without them, there probably wouldn't be InfoWars the way that we know it. Here's another one, Rick Olashansky. And you can see chairman, right? There's Alex advertising his best water filter, period, right? We've all seen those before. That's one of the insufferable things about InfoWars, is having to sit through their advertisements. Here they have one of the Jews on the show talking about their products. eFoods Direct, Steve Schenk, another Jewish person here. Steve Schenk, the president and co-founder of eFoods Direct, was interviewed by Alex Jones on his radio show last week. Atlas Survival Shelters, Ron Hubbard. Is that L. Ron Hubbard? I don't think it's the same one, but it could be his son or something. I don't know, right? Founder, president, CEO. Solutions from Science, Bill Hyde is another Jew here. And they've done a good job by showing how all the products are being advertised on InfoWars. Cal Ben Soap, Marty Schachter, owner spokesman. Alex also talks to Marty Schachter and Cal Ben Soap, so they have that on. Even got the stars there. Eco Blue. There's another one, Henry James Thielman, CEO founder. Henry James Thielman, Miami, Florida. There's so many of them, right, that are all funding and supporting Alex Jones. Bob Chapman is one of these guys that is on InfoWars a hell of a lot. I've always been sort of suspect of some of his stuff. He covers the Bilderbergs. You know, you can't discount this stuff. As you can see, it just goes on and on and on. All these Jewish corporations that are supporting InfoWars, it's certainly suspect to me, right? Especially when we consider the hierarchy that is controlling the United States and the West as we know it. And I've looked into some of these, like just clicking on them and seeing the connections, and some of them connect right back to where I live in Montreal, the Bronfmans, very powerful Jews within Canada. It's just unending. How is it that all these people, all these powerful, wealthy Jews are putting their money behind Alex Jones' InfoWars? Is that not very suspect when we consider that it is the Jewish cabal that essentially runs the West? I mean, it's very worrisome. I think it's something that Alex Jones needs to address, has to be quizzed on, questioned on. I don't know, you know. I try to keep my mind open here, and, you know, I don't want to inflame or create division amongst us and all that. But it's a problem. It's a serious problem. As I said, look at all these people. I mean, there's dozens of them. And that is something to be troubled about. Now let's look at some of the other points here. Alex Jones' radio show is broadcast on Sirius XM Radio. The chairman of Sirius XM Radio is Eddie Hartenstein. The CEO of Sirius XM Radio is Jew Mel Ramazine. The president of Sirius XM Radio is Jew Scott Greenstein. Of the 6 executive officers, Sirius XM Radio, 5 are Jews. Alex Jones is the client of Jewish attorney named Elizabeth Morgan, who is also the attorney for Holly Lev Bronfman. There, as I was saying, the Bronfmans. Edgar Bronfman, one of the wealthiest guys in Canada, part of the Seagram sort of dynasty here in Montreal, who moved their headquarters to New York over the last decade. Thus, there are only 2 degrees of separation between Alex Jones and the Bronfman family, one of the wealthiest and most influential Jewish Zionist families in North America. Yes, we know. You cannot walk around Montreal without hearing the name Bronfman. Now, that they've done a lot of good things. too. Doesn't necessarily make them evil. But as we know, who runs the banks runs our countries, and they are trying to destroy our democracies. Alex Jones employees, Molly Maroney, the managing editor of InfoWars magazine, is a former Stratford private intelligence agency based out of Austin, Texas, which has been linked to the CIA and the Mossad. The founder of CEO of Stratford is a Zionist Jew, George Friedman. Thus, there are only 2 degrees of separation between Alex Jones and Stratford. That is extremely troubling. Just this link alone here. So, I'm going to leave all these links below. But this has definitely got my attention. And I guess you could say one of the things that Jones has failed to do in most of his New World Order expose is really go after the Jewish hierarchy that run the whole cabal. And here in Canada, it's very, very difficult, even for a person like me, to criticize Jews. I run the risk of being targeted here for exposing this kind of stuff. I live in a predominantly Jewish district of Montreal, and you drive down the roads in one of the main roads here, and you will see at times C.I.A. photos all on every lamppost, all the way through the municipality, which means combined Jewish appeal. And they usually put a photograph of a young child who looks, not necessarily malnourished, but, saddened, depressed, perhaps. Combined Jewish appeal, also B'nai B'rith being very powerful in Montreal. Tons of Jewish politicians. The former mayor of Montreal, who has been forced to step down because of his connections to the mafia and all that. It's a real problem. And, I like to think that Alex is there for us, that he's fighting for freedom and the truth. But when I see this stuff, I really have to question it. So here's a quote here. Monday, 27th of February, WikiLeaks began publishing global intelligence files, more than 5 million emails from the Texas headquartered global intelligence company Stratfor. The emails date from between July 2004 and late December 2011. They reveal the inner workings of a company that fronts as an intelligence publisher but provides confidential intelligence services to large corporations such as Bhopal's Dow Chemical Corporation, one of the most evil corporations in the world, Lockheed Martin, likewise, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, my word, and government agencies including the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Marines, and U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency. This email shows Stratfor's web of informers' payoff structure, payment laundering techniques, and psychological methods. And so much of what we're battling today is this psychological warfare. I mean, the CIA, the Satanists, the Freemasons, who use their specialties in mind manipulation to keep us suppressed. The whole purpose of having someone like Alex Jones, perhaps, is to siphon off and, most importantly, identify those who do not trust the government. And it's a perfect sort of way to do it. You control the opposition. You give them truth mixed with lies. Truth so people turn in and say, well, this person's talking the truth. And then you muddy the waters for them so that they get lost in this endless sort of spiral that really has no bottom to it, because it's just more disinfo on top of more disinfo. It's quite troubling, really, to uncover this stuff. I'm not really uncovering it. I'm just getting it from other sources. But I have to say that after looking at all this and seeing all this, that my opinion of Alex Jones and InfoWars has slightly, well, more than slightly been altered a bit here, changed. I have to be, I have to be careful what I say at times. I don't want to turn off people who follow Alex Jones and say, well, Free Radio Revolution is full of shit because now they're calling Alex Jones a disinfo agent. I'm not calling Alex Jones a disinfo agent yet. I'm just saying that we should all take a very good look, and I think Alex Jones needs to be grilled on this stuff. So this all kind of stems from going back to Sandy Hook. Why doesn't Alex Jones cover the most obvious hoax? Same thing with the Boston bombing. I thought what they seemed to do was that the first few days that these things happen, and I've noticed this with other alternative media outlets that I could name, maybe I will at another time, sort of thing, where the fad is to cover what happens and as it happens, and to get the titles out there. Looks like a false flag, suspicious this, this event happens, and then they quickly move on to something else. And instead of following the leads, the numerous leads, the infinite leads, really, when it comes to something like Sandy Hook or the Boston bombing, there are so many leads that you could follow that will, each one that you follow will show you the hoax. It will reveal. You follow one character, you follow one child, you follow, one story within the story itself, and you find when you dig into it that it all kind of falls apart, like I said, like a house of cards, because it's all a lie. So they got to keep the illusion standing in order to keep us, believing it. And then the idea, of course, the strategy is for the powers that be is to control the opposition. There's no doubt about that. I don't doubt that for a second. And I said in the Red Pill Revolution, I was actually kind of defending Alex Jones and InfoWars, but I said, like, there's a lot of people within this truther movement, and I'm talking about the people that are getting paid, really. I could say Democracy Now!, for instance. Very suspect. Ben Swan. I really don't know. Noam Chomsky. Of course, Noam Chomsky is a liberal gatekeeper, right? His dismissal of 9/11 truthers, it says it all, right? He won't even entertain the idea. He's insulted by it, Such a smart guy, right? Well, no, he's a gatekeeper, right? He's being paid to keep you within the loop. He's also Jewish, right? So, well, as I said, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And I hate that. I hate the fact that the powerful Jews, the Zionists within the United States and then within the banking structure, which is one and the same, right? The banking and the government is one and the same. It's fascism. It's total fascism. When corporations take over your government, you have fascism. You had it in Nazi Germany, you have it now in 21st century United States, Canada, Great Britain. Don't kid yourself. Australia, New Zealand, the Five Eyes, we have fascism because we have corporations that run our countries. Canada, if you're from Canada and you think, no, Canada's, legislative body, we make our own laws, all that. Go and watch the video that we did on the Canadian Council of Chief Executives and see how the top 150 corporations of Canada, they are international corporations, they are corporations that have no borders, have rewritten entirely the business laws of Canada to suit their needs, and they are the ones that are directly behind the Trans-Pacific Partnership, bringing it in. These corporations, many that are headed by either Zionist, Freemasons, right, the Illuminati, whoever, CFR members, Bilderbergers, they're the ones that control our governments. They're the ones that put the puppets like Obama, Stephen Harper, David Cameron, all these guys in power. The puppets do what they're told, just like Obama did what he was told in 2008, right, when the financial collapse happened. They do what they're told. Even the people that run the Federal Reserve do what they're told. So the big question is here, why is Alex Jones so connected to so many high-ranking Jews? Why is he so close to Stratfor? Why is it, he said it on numerous occasions, that that he has family that worked in the CIA. That's a red flag if there ever was one. You have to wake up to that and realize, well, wait a second, he had family that worked in the CIA? Because once you're in the CIA, you're always in the CIA. It doesn't mean Alex is in the CIA, but if he's got family members that have been in the CIA, it's like when it broke down the Boston bombing and went into Uncle Ruslan. Glad I remember that. Uncle Ruslan, who was married to someone who is extremely former fucking head of the CIA, his daughter, just happened to be married to Uncle Ruslan, who was the uncle of the Serniev brothers, who allegedly set the bomb off, which was a pyrotechnic bomb, 2 pyrotechnic bombs that they provided no information, no evidence for, other than a photo showing that they were at the event with a backpack. Whereas several eyewitnesses swore that they saw garbages exploding with the pyrotechnic bombs, right? These connections are extremely important, right? It's extremely important for us to make these connections, to expose who is connected, why are these people connected? Who in the media is connected to these things? I mean, I give up completely on mainstream media. Nobody in mainstream media, starting with the young turds, okay? The dumb turds are the liberal gatekeepers for the youth. That is their purpose. Now, perhaps Alex Jones is the honeypot for the more radical elements in the truth movement. And now, perhaps you will see, like you've seen recently with the JFK assassination, that they might start lessening or letting loose some more information dealing with 9/11 to make people go back to there and get focused on that. In some ways, Sandy Hook is one of those events that that takes a lot of our attention away from a lot of what's going on. It's really difficult for me to kind of decide where to focus my energy on. I think the people that cover Sandy Hook do a tremendous job. But then again, there's all this stuff going on right now while we're all focused on Sandy Hook. I think we can't stop. I think one of the keys, perhaps, to exposing this whole thing is the Sandy Hook thing. If we could just, get people in court, if we could just start the whole legalities with the whole event, maybe we can lead that, can lead down the road to uncovering the whole cabal that runs the United States. I mean, it's a dream, really. Probably won't happen. I'm going to try to be optimistic and say it will, hopefully. I've been trying to do it. But who is this guy? What is his purpose? Is he controlled opposition? I don't know for sure. But I am definitely a lot more open to it. So let's see what Alex Jones says about Stratfor here.
Let's go to Scott in Colorado. You're on the air. Welcome, Scott.
How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing all right, but I tell you, it's getting crazy.
Absolutely is. Obama's taking over.
I got to say that I've never thought it would move this quick. But yeah, he says the UN's over our military. He can secretly arrest us if he wants. He's arresting good whistleblowers that expose any government criminal activities. It's unprecedented.
I have a question for you, Alex.
Yes.
Who's Mallory Mahoney?
Mallory Mahoney is one of our graphics people that works here at the office.
Wasn't she formerly with Stratford?
You guys are mentally ill, and I appreciate your call. Whenever we hired 6 graphics people for the magazine and for working in here, and the University of Texas is here in Austin, Stratford is like a private intelligence gathering firm that, in my opinion, puts out propaganda. It's like a feedback loop to agree with the Pentagon. So they can say, look, this private group said it. And somebody worked there for a month and a half as an unpaid intern and helped write a paper on China. And I mean, what am I going to do if somebody was ever in the military or somebody ever I mean, you know how many people, about a third of the UT journalism people that we bring in here for interviews, because we hired a couple from UT, actually 3 of them are from UT. Did you know about half of them or more had an internship there? There's not many places to get a media internship. The Austin American-Statesman, the Austin Chronicle, this is for print, the Houston, or the Texas Observer, or whatever it's called, that's small, and then Stratford, because it's mainly writing thousands of things a day. That is mental illness, you see. We're not worried about the New World Order. We're not worried about everything else. Listen, people say I work for the government, okay? I wouldn't get up here and say, don't take the vaccines. The government's pushing that. I wouldn't get up here and say criminal elements of our government were involved in 9/11, because they were, or that they're running Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria. I mean, just use your brain. You know what? If I work for the government, then I'm the worst government agent the planet's ever seen. Total mental illness. And people always say, you need to answer this, or you need to answer that. And no matter how many times I answer something, I will still be asked the same mentally ill question over and over again. People are looking. See, what's happened is the public has lost faith in the mainstream media and the government, which overall is a healthy thing. The Founding Fathers stated that. History shows that. But they had judgment. It doesn't mean that then everything is fake. It doesn't mean that I'm Bill Hicks, or that I'm really an actor, and the professor in Florida who says that Sandy Hook may have been staged with crisis actors, which they really have, that I'm him. I mean, mental illness. Mental illness. But I understand in a society in crisis, you know, just doesn't believe anything anymore. Mental illness.
Mental illness. Let's play that little part there.
Or that I'm really an actor, and the professor in Florida who says that Sandy Hook may have been staged with crisis actors, which they really have, that I'm him. I mean, mental illness.
Interesting. Mental illness. I think that little clip, I hadn't seen that clip before, by the way. That little clip there is very, very revealing, because somebody just asked a question. First they asked, do you know this employee, or do you know this person? And he said, yes, I do know them. And did you know that they work for Stratfor? And then the first thing he says is mental illness. Here's her intern for Stratfor, privately held, 51 to 200 employees, information services, October. So she was there for a lot more than a couple months. She was there for a year and a half, according to the researcher here. So what does that say about Alex? The fact that somebody calls up, asks, do you know who this person was? And he immediately says mental illness. Right away, he doesn't, ad hominem attack sort of thing. Tries to throw the person immediately, refuses to take any more questions from the person. Immediately goes into a defensive posture and starts attacking and throwing things around like mental illness. Yeah, it's a little bit hypocritical, don't you think, Alex? I think it's a whole lot hypocritical. So it's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff out there. I'm hoping that this video will get a lot of views, because I think it's important. I'm not here, I don't make money off this. Let me make that clear. I've never made a cent off my show, so there's no motivation there to make money. I have to say that just in case people are turning in for the first time. I'm not here to rip apart Alex Jones. I think I've been pretty fair. I think if you're a listener of Alex Jones, it doesn't necessarily mean if you come here and you see this that you should unsubscribe. I'm still subscribed to him. I'm subscribed to a number of people that I consider to be disinfo, just to keep an eye on what they're saying. I can't subscribe to the dumb turds, because I would just lose my mind, or I'd punch the screen, because it's the worst disinfo that is out there. I think there's a lot of good stuff that comes on Alex Jones. You do have good guests. You do have people with a lot of knowledge. But ultimately, is Alex Jones controlled opposition? I think the jury's still out, but I think here we've seen quite a bit of information that, might very well be the proof that, Alex Jones is here to honeypot us, to control us, and to keep us from really being able to expose the top of this pyramid. So there you go. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the comments here. I think some people are going to be upset. Other people are going to be happy. I always try to keep an open mind. I like to judge people after I meet them physically and get to know them a little bit. I don't like to automatically throw people in a pile, but I think the information that I've seen here is enough to make me seriously question the whole InfoWars operation. And InfoWars, as well as a name for a station, is a very belligerent name. I think it's a poor name. Prison Planet as well. I think those are poor names because they talk, about extremes, wars, info. You're warring. We don't need to war in the truth community. What we need to do is just work hard and expose the truth. Is much longer than I anticipated. I'm going to have to put this up on my second channel. Please make sure that you subscribe to hear more, and keep your minds open, and be civil to each other. Don't use ad hominem attacks. Listen to what other people are saying. Keep an open mind, and that's all I ask. Have a nice day.